Well, sometime in the early 70s, there was a group of top executives who were taking executive education programs at the Center for Research and Communication. And these executives, partly because of their training at CRC, felt that they owe something to society. So what we call now corporate social responsibility was already very much part of their mission and vision. And so they saw that one of the most important contributions they can make to society was to train out-of-school youth and children of poor families so that they can be gainfully employed, especially in the areas of blue-collar work, because a lot of young Filipinos, even those who come from lower income groups, always think that they have to go to a university and get a college diploma. There was some kind of a prejudice against manual work. And so that was one of the reasons why this top executive said we put up a foundation that will give full scholarships to these young people so that they can be skilled electromechanical workers. And fortunately, at the time, there was a very generous German foundation by the name of Hans Seidel Stiftung that provided counterpart funding for initiatives. So it was Hans Seidel Stiftung giving us grants, and then these top executives helping both with financial help and their own active work in convincing companies to be cooperating with Dualtech.
What exactly is the Dualtech approach?
Dualtech really is inspired by what the Germans call dual voc, which is an approach to training skilled workers that combine classroom work and actual work experience already in companies that are cooperating with the school. So they spend some time in the classroom and a lot of time already applying what they learn to actual factory conditions. And so this was perfected in Germany, and the Philippines just borrowed the technology and just changed the name to Dualtech instead of Dualvoc. No? Well, objectively, and I say this because I have talked to so many of these companies that have employed the graduates of Dualtech, it's been very successful. I mean, it's amazing how these out-of-school youth, these children of low-income families, have been able to really improve the conditions of their respective families because of the very high salaries they were able to get once they were employed. And as I'm sure the employers would say, many of these people who were trained even before they graduated were already actually being employed by the companies thanks to that system of work and study. And so I think, except for what's happening right now because of the global recession, I think Dualtech has been very, very successful.
Well, in this, because of the state of the global economy now, is Dualtech still viable? Is it still relevant to the times?
Oh, definitely. Skilled workers will always be needed in any economy. Now, what the Dualtech managers will have to do is to make a forecast of what are the industries that will be growing rapidly in the coming 10 years, for example. And I must say that they should not rely too much on their old customers in the electronics and semiconductor industry, because there is a certain time, let's say about 30 years, when this industry begins to more or less slow down, and they start going to other countries like China, Vietnam, Indonesia, that have a lot more workers at lower costs. But the Philippines is going to be very, very attractive for business process outsourcing. So I think the management Dualtech will have to see what are the skills in business process outsourcing. And I'm not referring only to call centers, no? Animation, medical transcription, there is a whole range of services that can be rendered through the internet. And I think Dualtech will have to go into those fields, no? Very much what a similar foundation in Cebu has been doing. The site, no? the Center for Industrial Technology and Enterprise. So, as probably you have been reading, Intel has disappeared, and there's another company in Cebu that just also announced it will leave Cebu, and I wouldn't be surprised if Fairchild, FXS Instruments will also reduce significantly their operations here. So I think that is a message to Dualtech to look at other industries. Another industry that's going to be very growing fast is food technology. So you have to prepare a lot of people for the food industries.
In adding new courses in Dualtech?
Oh, definitely. And getting other types of instructors, because you have been basically in electromechanical skills. I think you have to look for people who are good in software, for example, people who are good in food technology. So, and I'm sure there are. And it's a matter of looking at some of our engineers and technicians who have gone abroad and can be reattracted back to the Philippines to help train these workers.
As a prospective business partner or a partner of Dualtech, does it make business sense to them?
Obviously, because production-oriented company, whether it is producing goods or services, cannot survive without skilled workers. I mean, the real asset of every corporation is the human asset. And as I said, in the Philippines, there has been a bias against technical work because everyone wants to be an accountant, wants to be an engineer. And so I think companies will be very appreciative of Dualtech because it is producing these technical workers that you do not get mostly from the universities.
Well, Dualtech is very strong in values formation. What would be the advantage for these companies to be hiring Dualtech graduates or students?
Well, that's another thing. It's not only skills that Dualtech imparts. It is also the work ethic, honesty, integrity, the ability to cooperate with others. These are actually sometimes even more important than the skills themselves. And so, obviously, corporations appreciate this aspect of the training that Dualtech gives to its students, and it's also very much the spiritual dimensions. Right now, it's very clear that capitalism is right now going through a crisis because from the very top people, from presidents, executives, they have lacked values. They have been too greedy, they have been dishonest, and so on and so forth. And that's true at all levels of business. And so you need people who are with values on top, and you need people who are with values in the rank and file. Well, from the very beginning, I was part precisely of that group that planned the vision of Dualtech with these top executives who were at that time studying at CRC. So I was a professor at CRC, so we were working together with Dr. Jesus Stanislao and others. And right now I still sit in the board of Dualtech, so I'm part of helping set the directions for the future. So what I'm saying definitely will be very much part of the strategic planning process that Dualtech will have to follow to adapt to the changing environment. A school has to be dynamic. It cannot just keep on continuing to do what it has been doing. It has to change with the environment.
Okay. For the last question, can you look at the camera and appeal to the prospective partners and why they should sign up with Dualtech?
Well, given what I have said about how the Philippines will always need skilled workers with very sound values, I think it is the responsibility of Philippine business to help Dualtech achieve its mission. Number one, by making financial contributions, because this German foundation I mentioned, who was very generous in the beginning, it already has other countries poorer than the Philippines that it wants to help in Africa, in Eastern Europe, and so the funds are no longer coming as they did in the past. So now we have to get the funds from local sources, both multinationals and Filipino corporations. Then you can also help by actually employing the students while they're still studying, and if they are qualified, then after they graduate, they definitely will be very valuable workers for these corporations. No? And then it's also important that corporations who already are pleased with what they see as products of Dualtech will communicate to others who still are not familiar with Dualtech about the advantages of helping Dualtech.
Yeah. 5, 4, 3.
Well, after what we've said about the value of the graduates of Dualtech, I definitely appeal to corporations, first of all, to help Dualtech with financial contributions. This German foundation I referred to, Hans Seidel Stiftung, very generous at the beginning, has other countries that are poorer than the Philippines to help in Africa and Eastern Europe. And therefore, the funds are no longer coming in as much as they were in the past. So we now need to get this funding from local sources, whether from multinationals who operate in the Philippines or Filipino corporations. And secondly, corporations can help by employing the students while they're still working, and if they qualify, then to hire them after graduation, because these students and graduates have certain values that you will not find in other skilled workers. And finally, I hope that the corporations who are pleased with what they see among the graduates will communicate the advantage of helping Dualtech to many other corporations in the Philippines, so that Dualtech will continue to do what it has the mission to do, to produce highly skilled workers with the appropriate human values and virtues that a market economy needs.